Welcome back, friends, as we continue the series of Consciously Clearing Clutter to explore ways to clear systems and release. Let go of what no longer supports you. In the past 2 episodes, we learned about the mind-body connection and detoxing with Angela Quist, and also how to address emotional baggage and clear your physical space with Carlyn Ray. And if you haven't had the opportunity to listen or watch either of those, please take time to do so, as I've created this series with intention and all of them to build up to support you on all levels. And for this episode today, we're going to bring awareness of how we hold energies in the body and explore ways to clear and release unwanted clutter within our energy centers or chakras. And I think what is most important about this episode is how to build your own emotional intelligence about not just your physical body, but also your energetic body, so you do not take on other people's stuff. And as I've shared in this series, it's all about keeping our baskets balanced and lighter. Don't need to carry other people's stuff. For this last episode of the series, I've invited a special guest, Inanna Jacque, who's a Reiki master, singer, songwriter, a certified Bach flower remedy practitioner, as well as an emotional code therapist, among a myriad of other esoteric and modern healing modalities. Inanna has a passion for supporting others on their healing journey, and through her business, Inanna Rising, she offers teachings inspired by the sacral feminine arts. You know, when I first connected with Inanna, there was just something that I can't explain. It felt like I met an old friend, and I really hope you all feel the same as we learn more from Inanna. So please welcome Inanna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, April. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. I'm so honored to share this space with you. I've listened to, I was telling you earlier, I was listening to a few of your podcasts earlier this week, and two things really struck me. One is your whole entire presence, including your voice, is just so soothing and so healing. It was just lovely to even have that on in the background. And at times I get distracted by podcasts and I don't like the extra noise, and so I'll turn them off. But yours was just beautiful. Your voice is just lovely and soothing to listen to. And the second thing was that I I really tuned into the space that you are working to create and to build here on this platform. And it's just so powerful in such a non-egotistical way. I really appreciate that. So thank you for having me on.
Mm,
I really am
thank you
honored.
for those kind words. Yes. I'm glad that you feel that intention that I infuse in with these episodes. Yeah. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, Inanna, for those who aren't familiar with you?
Yes. So my name is Inanna Jackie K. And I, as you said, am a Reiki master. My life has always been filled with music and song. My father was a very accomplished musician and drummer growing up, and my mother was a painter and an artist. So I grew up in a very artistic minded household, which I think lent itself to maybe being okay with stepping off the beaten path a little bit and kind of seeking other forms of therapy and spirituality. So about, I would say maybe 15 years ago, we all have some form or another of childhood trauma that we're working to overcome. And I mine had really come to a head. And thankfully, I just kind of stumbled upon some of these healing modalities. I had a friend of mine who was too afraid to go to a Reiki share. That's a, you know what a Reiki share is, where you, there could be one or more Reiki practitioners, and they just kind of offer 5 to 10 minutes of free Reiki just so you can experience what that energy feels like. So this friend of mine had heard about it because she was taking yoga and Pilates. And at that time, that was kind of a newer thing, you know? And so there was going to be a Reiki share at the place where she was taking yoga. And she called me and she said, please go with me. It sounds really weird. And I don't want, you know, to be surrounded by, you know, just weird people and hippies by myself. Little did she know I was a weird person and a hippie. So I went to it and I was so surprised because I had had some strange pain in my hand that would flare up every time it would rain for whatever, well, I know the reason now, but from the time I was young, and it would hurt really, really bad. And so as soon as the woman, she held my hand and that flare up happened, and then the flare would move and it moved to my wrist, and then she moved her hand to my wrist. I noticed that when the pain would move, she would move her hand, and she got all the way up to my shoulder. And I said, how did you do that? How did you know where it was hurting? You would move every time the pain would move. And so she explained to me a little bit about why that was the way it was. And I was curious enough. I thought it was very strange, but curious enough that I was open to learning more. Um, and I know you have mentioned before that the reason you, April, got into these types of healing modalities wasn't really to work on other people at first, but for yourself. And so I think that was my motivation as well at first. I had no intention of ever kind of coming out of the closet, out of the energy closet with this kind of stuff. I thought way back then that it was super strange and weird, and I was afraid of being, you know, laughed at or ridiculed or judged. But because one thing led to another, and I went through Reiki, and then I found other modalities, and they helped me so much clear my traumas and my wounds and to really rise above that. I felt just compelled to share it with other people, and over the last several years have felt very instructed and guided by my guides and by spirit and my higher self to create a platform so that more people can find their way to this type of energy connection and
Yes.
healing.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I think all of us who are energy practitioner, you know, working with energies and things, you know, we all have come out of that closet, and it just feels so much better here and not having to hide and keep things secret from other people, that type of thing. It just doesn't feel good living that way. And that's how I connected with you actually, Inanna, was through your Instagram. I watched your chakra
Mm,
clearing. You had a wonderful video on there and on YouTube. I think I went to your YouTube after that and watched, and I so love how you talk about everything and explain. I think that's
mm,
the big thing, is that you take time and to explain and to walk people through that process
mm,
instead of just, you know, that's the root chakra, it's this color, this is what you got to do next, you know, just kind of going it through that way. It's you take time and really have compassion about supporting others with
mm.
that. So yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for
You know,
offering those.
it's that is such a passion of mine. That's something that I didn't realize that was going to be a part of my life, would be teaching. I love teaching all about, well, anything really, but the energy system, I love teaching Reiki. Just watching someone really open up and unfold to a brand new idea and a new understanding, and then seeing it apply to their life is just, it's the most beautiful thing. And I think when I look back, I can see naturally it probably comes from, I'm a big sister. I have 6 younger brothers. And so I was always, we're teaching them and helping with homework and trying to show them. I remember two of my brothers, they're twins, and they couldn't say their R's when they were little. And so they would, say one of their names was Ryan, and they'd say Ryan, and it bothered me. I was probably 5 years old, and I thought, no, why are you not? How come you're not hearing this? Can't you do it? Anyway, so my little 5-year-old brain figured out a way to teach them how to say their R's, and I would tell them, okay, roar like a dinosaur, roar, and then they would go, wow, at first, but I got them to do it, and so even now I tease them to this day, you should thank me that you can say your R's. Because, but I don't know, that might be where my love of teaching started, because I do feel that in the Western world, when the whole theory and idea of chakras came over here, we have a tendency here to want to just package everything up so it just fits really nicely, and it goes in, this file right here, and they don't bleed over. This file belongs right here. So it's just interesting when I hear other people teach or talk about the chakra system. It's very rigid. The root chakra, it's red, and it does this, and it doesn't do anything else. And it's very much like, in its own little container. And I think that we lose the whole idea when we do that. The energy is it's fluid and it's expansive, and all the chakras work with each other, and they move into each other. Even the colors that we see in them bleed into each other depending on what our body's doing or needing at the time. So
Yes, exactly. And for those who aren't familiar with chakras, can you just give your definition of what chakras are and your experiences working with them?
yes, so the Sanskrit word for chakra, uh, and it's pronounced chakra, and it comes from India, is where we get the whole idea of the chakra system. But and it means wheel or vortex. That's what the word means. So it's understood that the chakra system, so basically just like we have a physical body, we also have an energetic body. And just like our physical body has all kinds of different systems, whether it's our cardiovascular system, all the different organs inside, the veins that carry oxygen and blood throughout our whole body, the nervous system, all of that. Our energy body has its own set of systems as well that has been kind of ignored by Western medicine. It's now being, I think, more understood and more looked at, but for a long time, the Western world is just very physically based, which isn't bad. If I break my arm, I need to go to a doctor so he can reset it. That's a Western way, and we need that too. So I like your approach. You always say that you don't think that energetic medicine should take away from, right, the
Yeah,
Western. It's
yeah.
complementary.
We need
Yeah,
both, yes.
I agree with that too. But so just like we have the physical body with all those systems, we have the energy body, it has all of its systems. And so in the more Eastern philosophies in Eastern world, they studied everything to do with the energetic body. So in Chinese medicine, where we have acupuncture and acupressure, they're working more with the meridians of the body. And that's a whole energy system that would be similar to like our vascular system in our body. It carries all the energy everywhere. And so when there's blocks in that, you have the doctors go in and put in needles to kind of move that energy and unblock it. Well, the thing that pulls in and pushes out the energy that's around us, depending on what it is that we need. That's the chakra system. And the chakra system is more acknowledged and studied by India, the Hindu, the whole Sanskrit, like all of that ancient world. And there are 7 chakras, basically 7 chakras. There are way more than that, but just for our purposes, along the center of the body. So they begin at the base of the spine. That's the first little energy wheel chakra, and that we call it the root chakra. And then it moves up to right below the belly button, and that's called the sacral chakra. That's the second one. The third one up is our solar plexus chakra. That's above our belly button. And then at the center of our body, we have our heart chakra. And then our throat chakra is the 5th one. And we move up higher here between our brow. That's the 6th chakra. And at the top, it kind of sits a little above our head, is the crown chakra. And that's said to connect us to source, to God, universe, goddess, whatever you want to call it. And then the lower chakra connects you and roots you into Gaia, or earth. So you want to have all of those chakras really aligned and in balance for optimal health.
Yes, thank you. That was perfect. And even me working with individuals and things, I can tell when there's imbalance there, when things are quote unquote blocked. We, without being aware, we just take on so much from the outer world or from others. And that's why I think it's so important for us to talk about these as removing clutter, removing things that it's not for us to hold on to. And we tend to think that this is our sacrifice. This is what we need to do in order to show that we love our loved ones or something, is to suffer with them. And you're just going down. But for me, that's just a person going down the rabbit hole with that person, and they don't have a way out. They don't have the ruby slippers like Dorothy. You just can't click your heels 3 times and be back home and everything's all cleared up.
It reminds me, if you don't mind, if I tell a little story. I had a teacher once who, she taught this about carrying other people's stuff, right? Because sometimes, so she gave this analogy. She actually had me stand up, and she was just talking, and she goes, let's just throw this pillow back and forth. It was just like a little pillow from her couch. And so she's talking to me, and we're throwing the pillow back and forth, and she's asking, well, how are you doing? And how, just doing kind of small talk. And all of a sudden she just kept throwing the pillow at me quicker, and I would catch it and throw it, and she'd throw it again. And it was her idea to throw the pillow in the first place, right? So it was her pillow. And then every time I would throw it back to her, she kept throwing it even, with a little more force. And finally she started getting mad at me. Why do you keep throwing this pillow back at me? I don't want it. And I said, well, you gave it to me first. And she said, well, hold it for me. If you cared about me, you would hold it for me. I don't feel like holding it right now. So we got into this whole, kind of talk about what that meant. And she asked me, she said, when someone's having you hold all their stuff and you feel like you have to, if you care about them, she goes, what are some of your options? What can you do? And at the time I was just kind of stunned by the whole exercise, like, what? And I said, I don't know, I guess you could just keep trying to give it back to them. And she said, well, you could, but then you're just engaging back and forth with them. And it was just the most obvious answer, but I didn't see it at first. And she says, you can put the pillow down.
Yeah.
So it was a good lesson in that. And you don't have to hold on to people's stuff. Even if they give it to you and you realize you've been holding it, you don't have to go through a big dramatic, hey, why did you hand me all this? You can literally just put it down. And it's
yes,
be there for them if they want to come back and get it. But, so I think a lot of the time with energy, we tend to just, even in the slightest ways, because you're such an energy person, I'm sure you know that there are some stores, I don't want to say it out loud, but several like big kind of corporation type stores that you can't avoid. Sometimes you have to go and get bulk items and things like
Yeah.
that. But I often have to really shield myself before I go and step into those stores, because sometimes I'll walk out of there just feeling absolutely energetically drained. Like I don't have the energy to do anything else the rest of the day,
Yes.
because, your energy is constantly being pulled at, and you're
Yes.
on other people's energy too.
Yeah.
So that's where
Other
it's so
people.
important to
Yeah,
know how to clear your own systems.
definitely. And before we go into, I'm hoping a little exercise you'll walk us through. I want to go back to that. When you're in that environment, it doesn't matter whether you're in a big store, it could be at your own home, it could be at the office, or even, this is the way now we Zoom or we do these platforms, and your energy is going. It's going, your attention, everything. So where your attention goes, energy flows. And
Mm-hmm.
so really remembering that. So when you, especially in the store, there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of people, the lights, the whole environment there. And for me, it's really important for me. I say to breathe through my feet. Like I just breathe up to the top of my head and down, and just really ground myself. Also, if you're going to the store, always eat before
Oh
you
my
go to the
goodness.
store,
Yes.
because otherwise you'll buy everything, and that's not good healthy stuff. And also you're grounded too when you eat. It grounds your, and so you won't be as distracted by all those little things that they want you to buy. They purposely intentionally place things
Yeah.
in certain places. They're paid to market it. So that's a whole nother story.
Well,
But yeah.
but it goes so well with even, I mean, that happens in every aspect, whether we're just driving and seeing, ads on the street on billboards, or we're on our phone, maybe we're watching some really beautiful YouTube video with a great intention, but then the next ones that pop up are just things that just kind of really drain you or take you down a weird rabbit hole. So you really have to ground yourself, eat that like energetic spiritual food of, you know, making sure that you are well fed, spiritually grounded. I love what you said, that breathing through your feet, connecting deep into Mother Earth. And I know that's something that I forget sometimes, that most people don't practice or do in their daily round, because when you learn a modality such as Reiki, you're taught, especially when you go up into the upper, like the Reiki 3 training or mastership, you learn how important it is to ground your energy, and you have all those beautiful meditations to pull you into that. But most people don't ever work with
Yeah,
that space. And
exactly.
when they get attracted to, even to learning about chakras, I think most people are, the shiny chakras, the ones that seem the most fun, are those higher ones, right? Like, ooh, I could sharpen my clairvoyance, or or
Mhm.
connect more with spirit, or have more intuition. That seems fun. The lower ones seem like, oh, that's boring. But if you don't work on a
Mm.
balance in the entire system, it can just throw your whole system out of whack.
Yes, having that foundation, and that's the root, having that foundation. So when you say that, Inanna, about it just throws you out of whack, um,
Mhm.
what would that look like in a person? What would they experience?
Mm.
Um, so talking about the chakras and maybe with the root, and then kind of going up, just little things like what could possibly be happening there if they're feeling, if it's imbalanced, if they've
Um,
taken on so much and things are, your filter isn't clear, right? It's kind of clogged up. How would that
that
show up?
that can look and show up in a lot of different ways. I I want to say just most broadly or generally, just because I was using the example of being attracted to the higher chakras and for myself, right? I really, for years, kind of couldn't care less about those lower ones. And so I was more intrigued with even crystals that were more associated with the higher chakras. I was always more attracted to those than the lower chakra ones. And for me, I'll say that would show up as um, headaches, lightheadedness, like on a physical level. Um, that could show up as overthinking, being too much in my head, even um, being paranoid about things, that scenarios that weren't even going to happen, or I would have conversations in my head, or fights or arguments, in my own head.
Yes.
Someone is like, but this didn't even happen, and it didn't. Why did I do this? Why did I waste my energy?
That's so
So
funny.
I see that a lot in people and in my clients too. And I'll know, okay, if they've been suffering a lot from migraines, or even a head injury. If you end up like bumping your head or anything like that, that's a sign of an imbalance, really, right? So then if you're imbalanced, say you're someone who focuses more in the root chakras and those lower chakras, and there are a lot of people who do that, people who are more physically, maybe they work out a lot, maybe they have a job that requires them to be very physical, which is great. But if they don't balance that out with the higher chakras as well, that can look like the typical, let's say the person who works out a lot, um, the typical kind of jock, right? Who you feel like, oh, okay, well, this person looks really, really amazing, but do they care about, community or world issues or spirituality? That can also look like injury in the lower extremities too. So a turned ankle, or a hurt knee, or a hamstring that's been pulled, things like that. And especially for women, that can show up as problems within the reproductive system, and in men too, right? And then as well as digestive issues. So yeah,
Yes.
if you think about where the chakras lie um, on the body, so like if the lowest chakra is in at the base of the spine, so kind of between your legs, and all of those organs that are there, including the legs, knees, feet, those are governed by that chakra, by the energy that's allowed to come in and be released there. And so if the chakra is not working very well, remember that the word means vortex of energy, or a wheel of energy. So if it's not spinning, and it doesn't just spin in one direction, it spins two different directions. In one direction, it's bringing energy in, funneling it in. The other direction, it's funneling whatever energy needs to go back out. So it's kind of like if your vacuum cleaner is clogged, it might be working a little bit, right? It might be pulling some stuff up, but as soon as you really clean it out, you notice like, oh wow, how was I living with my vacuum cleaner just doing
Yes.
perfect work for so long? That's kind of how it feels once you start clearing and working with your chakras. You just
Exactly. I love that vacuum.
yeah.
Um, and knowing that you don't have to know exactly what's happening either, because then that just creates more of that mental activity. It's more about trusting and allowing and just being open with curiosity. I say that a lot in my podcast for
Mhm.
people just to just be curious, like, oh, well, I don't know enough to be a pessimist.
Yeah.
I just am here to listen and see, maybe something might resonate with me. So just being able to be open and explore with us today is just enough. It's just enough. And Anna, when you were talking about the chakras, so the root is the tailbone kind of area, legs.
Mhm.
Then your sacral is I just say kind of around the belly button.
Uh-huh.
And then solar plexus is between the belly button and your rib cage. and then your heart chakra. So I see that is huge. Our heart chakra is what connects the upper and the lower.
Mm-hmm.
And when we aren't giving ourselves self-care, when we have a lot of judgments about others, that's just really reflecting back to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we really have to include that self-compassion, right? That ease and grace, and doing something or having something that tangible that, just kind of makes you feel light and open, that just automatically opens your heart chakra. I mean, people, I really want you to pause right now, close your eyes, and envision a puppy, right? A puppy or a kitten. Right away we smile. There's
Mm-hmm.
no judgment, there's nothing. And that really just opens our hearts immediately. We don't
Yes.
have to figure out how to do it. It's naturally there. We
Yes.
are built for love and compassion. It's everything around us that's telling us other things that gets us confused and mixed up and all of that. So yeah. So in Anna, when you talked about those chakras and the imbalanced, and most definitely, I mean, I've been there too in
Mm.
my head a lot and detached, right, from my body, and just bringing it down any way that you can is just very helpful for that. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that you can walk us through just a very quick way to connect with the chakras.
I have a favorite one that, because I love this one because anyone can do it. Anyone, it's just super simple. I said this on the last class I taught on YouTube, that I called it the TikTok technique for years, but now that app came out and I'm like, that's not what I wanted.
Who knew?
I need to find a new name for it. But it's basically using your hand, the magnetic field of your hand, to
Mm.
start pulling the energy of the chakra and clearing it. And because remember, the chakras are spinning, they're winding constantly. So you want to think of, we'll do our heart together, knowing that you can do this with any chakra, but we'll do the exercise with our heart since you can see mine and
Mm.
I can see yours. You want to think of a clock. Okay, so like the face of a clock. So we're going to go clockwise. No, sorry, we're going to go counterclockwise first and then clockwise. So if you think of the face of a clock and then put it on the front of you like that. So
So
if the
it's
chakras
pointing
are
out.
12, yeah,
Okay.
pointing outward. So basically what you're going to do though is you're going to first move your hand up and over to the right and down and around. So up to the right, okay, like that. And you're just going to be, you can kind of feel it too. You're going to be using the center. You also have chakras in the palms of your hands. And if you're a Reiki person, you know that's where the Reiki energy comes out of. So you're going to use your hand and just go to the right. And you'll want to do this for 1 to 3 minutes, and just keep
Okay.
spinning it and spinning it. And you'll almost intuitively feel like you want to pull it out a little more. So right here, you're unwinding to the right. You're unwinding. You're pulling out debris, pulling out energy. And if you even want to like kind of close your hands and scoop out, sometimes I feel like that. I go, ooh, I can just feel extra energy
Mm.
that wants to go, like almost like stringy. And just
Yeah.
imagine it moving toward the light. And if you want to even call in a special archangel to come and take that debris and
Hmm.
renew it and cleanse it, you can do that. So,
Yeah. Even colors. If you see colors or
yeah,
shapes or symbols in there, just go with it.
yeah,
That's what it's about, the curiosity and just going with that.
yeah. And then after you're doing that for a couple minutes and kind of just connect again to that chakra, whichever one you're at, we're at the heart. So just feel it for a moment, thank it, and then you'll spin it the other way. Now you're going to wind it back up. This is the
Mm.
way that it's that it's meant to be spinning. So if you, do I have it? Oh, I did. I have a whole bunch. I always have crystal toys are with me all the time. But I like to use pendulums to also check the chakras. And I can show you how to do that really quickly afterward as well, if you'd like.
Mm.
But you look like you're feeling really nice right now.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, yeah.
It's like giving your energy a hug, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
when someone you love just kind of like rubs your back or tickles your arm, you know, and you just feel like, oh, thank you. It feels like that for yourself. So just doing that for a couple minutes and then bless
Yeah,
each
and I think
one.
that's the best thing too, is that we can do this for ourselves. You know, we don't have to rely on somebody to do it for us. It's nice though. It's really nice to
So
have a
lovely.
good massage, you know, Reiki session, that type of thing, but really to build that relationship with you
Yeah.
and know that you have that within you
Yeah.
to soothe, to ground, to give yourself that self-love. It's
Mhm.
oh, so
How does
important.
that feel? Can you tell a difference right now? Just in,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it
just
just
how it's
feels like buttery. Maybe I'm
yes.
wearing yellow, you know, I don't know, but
No,
it
I
just
know what
feels
you're
kind of
saying.
buttery and just
Breathing.
softness and just relaxed. Like, oh, I can relax. I'm just here with Inanna and everyone else, just
Yeah.
being here and present with this beautiful energy of mine, right?
Mhm.
Experiencing your own energy too.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I would say, I always tell my clients this, if you can't give yourself the time to clear your whole system like that, just do your heart on a daily basis. As you're going to sleep at night, just clear out all the stuff that you've kind of collected throughout the day. But if you can, at least once a week or more, go through your whole chakra system. You will walk away from it feeling like a brand new person.
Yeah.
A brand new person.
Yeah. And the best part is that you can take a shower and you're washing yourself anyway. Why not just
I love
tune
that.
into those spots? It's your body.
Yeah.
You know, you should
Yeah.
be able to touch it and work through it and just see
That's
what
beautiful.
happens.
Hmm.
Yeah. Water is so clearing and cleaning anyway. I love watching the water coming from the shower head and just witnessing these
Mm.
two molecules and how powerful it is to cleanse our bodies, to give us life
Hmm.
and be present with that source. So yeah.
So true. And then if you hold that intention that you are allowing the water to come in and cleanse and pull out anything that you've been holding on to that's kind of weighing you down and just watch it go down the drain.
Yes.
Yeah, that it's really powerful. I do that all the time now. I think probably almost every time I take a shower, but I remember when I first learned that idea years and years ago, I thought, "Oh my gosh, that seems so novel."
Yeah.
But
And you're
it's
cleaning on so many different levels.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. So it's really, I mean, it's the simplest thing to keep our energy clear, but I think it's something that gets extremely overlooked. And
Mhm.
I know that it does because I have been working with energy for 15 years, which I know compared to a lot of people, that's not that long, but for me, it's a long time. And even I forget sometimes. I'll just find myself feeling horrible and not knowing why. And then I'll finally go through my checklist like, okay, well, what's going on? What what do I need right now? And I will, tune in and maybe work on one or more chakras or take my flower essences or whatever it is, right? That changes my energy. Give myself a little Reiki, and then it's
Yes.
like I'll go, whoa, I feel night and day. What was the problem before?
Yeah, it's going from that heavy, that constriction, because our bodies can only handle so much, and those energy centers can only hold so much. And then all of a sudden, it's just like effervescent. It just
Yeah,
kind of opens and lifts. And it's
yeah,
like, ah, like just taking a breath of fresh air.
yeah. And what's interesting is since we just did that heart clearing, I just took in a big, huge breath of air, and it was just the easiest.
Mm,
Like I just went, oh, I didn't realize I was constricted before. I wouldn't have even noticed. But just doing that little bit of just loosened everything up here. So,
yes.
and if you have any kind of asthma, breathing issues, or you're holding on to any kind of grief, most of us are, that will all show up right here in the heart. And so it's super important to keep that area, especially, I mean, I would say if you're going to just pick one chakra to work with, you should, like I said, balance all of them. But as you stated, that's in the center of the body, and it's the kind of gateway between the upper and the lower chakras. So if you're going to just focus on one, go with the heart, because that will help to at least clear up some of that energy between the lower and the upper.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think as you're sharing, just as you said that, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, right? We put a pressure on our performance, on being there for others, looking back, shoulda, woulda, coulda, those types of things, the grief of not
Mm.
living a life that we thought we were going to live, or wanting things to turn out differently and holding on to that. That's
Mhm.
also tied to the heart. So by just having that ease and grace and giving self-care, that's all that's needed. And you're just melting those outer layers, just melting it, and just allowing that to release those tensions, and forgiveness, right? Forgiveness for ourselves, that we're human. We're human.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's really a beautiful way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I know that you talked about pendulums. I'm curious about that. Is there something that you can show us a little bit, just
Yes, I'll show
for
you
a
really
few
quick.
minutes?
Have you worked with pendulums before?
I
Okay,
have. So
good.
this is beautiful that I have somebody else here that works with them as well. And
So they're so useful for checking on your whole chakra system. And this is just a clear quartz pendulum, but a pendulum could be anything that's connected to any kind of string. So when I was a little kid, um, somebody brought a paper clip with like some thread to school, and they were doing this. I remember like checking, look, all of a sudden you can ask a yes or no question and the pendulum will swing a certain way. And I thought, oh, that's crazy and scary when I was a kid. I remember thinking, but I love it. What is it? I was so curious. But the way that it works is just that, so anything, but especially a crystal, is going to, everything has an electromagnetic field around it, right? So
including us people, we
correct,
are all energy. Remember, we've talked
very
about that
much so.
before.
Yeah. So we have those little spinning vortexes, those chakras, all over our bodies. We talked about the 7 main ones, but there are chakras in every joint that we have. And of course, in the center of our palms, in our different parts of our neck, in the soles of our feet. So you're going to have that spinning motion going on in all of those areas. So just to check, like, your palm, if you just hold the crystal there as still as you can for a while, all of a sudden it's just going to start doing its own thing. So right now you can see it spinning around in a circle, and it works 2 ways. So when you start, you can use pendulums to ask questions, a yes or no type of question too. And the way that that works is with the subtle muscles in your hands. It's like the subconscious is
Mhm.
answering the question, and by moving the subtle muscles, and that will move the pendulum. But when you're just holding it straight without any type of question, you're just checking to see what's the motion of this chakra right now, you know?
Mm.
So if it's in a spinning, usually a clockwise spinning motion, you can see like, oh, that's pretty nice and clear. It looks healthy. It looks like it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. But if you hold it over a chakra and it just sits dead, or it maybe moves side to side and it's not a good spinning motion, you'll know, okay, that chakra needs a little bit of extra attention. So you can either hold a crystal to it, or you can do that TikTok method like I was just showing you. But
Yeah.
I love using the pendulum. It's hard to do it on yourself for
Mm.
all the chakras, but sometimes I'll just lay down and then hold it over and kind of just like peek up a little bit, over
Yeah.
my pillow just to see, because I like to check on those lower chakras since for so long I ignored them for so many years. I don't anymore. I love them.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
And I love that you introduced the pendulum. Other ways besides showering, working through, flowing through, I love to think about eating foods,
mm,
healthy foods that support each of the chakras. So you can Google that. Just basically, it's color. So, red for the root chakra. You could eat red potatoes, that's root for the
mm.
root. Apples, red peppers, things of that nature. Then you move up to the sacral, which is orange. So, of course, oranges, orange bell peppers. You see where I'm going with that.
Oh
So,
yeah,
you can even wear
wearing
the
color,
color too if you're feeling
surrounding
a certain
yourself.
way. Yeah. Wrap yourself in that. Um, different crystals, as you shared in Anna, and so you can just play with it. That's a big thing too, is when's the last time for everyone here, when's the last time you really played, that you
Mm,
had fun, that you created something, that you explored? We get so in this mindset of go, 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 do, do, do. I don't have time for that, because your mind is telling you other things that still need to be done. And that's definitely up here. You're not in your body. So really invite play and explore with this, because this is you, this is your body. No one else can do it for you. And the Western medicine, in my view, is the band-aid approach. So something's happened, yes, you broke your arm, you need the doctor to reset, things like that. But all these diseases that are showing up, you weren't born with those.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
really want everybody to think about that. We were not born with those diseases, and they accumulate in our system and show up, because there's overriding of things, and our bodies trying to get rid of it somehow. So it manifests into something. And that's your body saying, I need support. I need help with this. So before that even happens, why not try this out? Why not explore and build that emotional intelligence with yourself? So that way you're not throwing pillows at people. I love it. I love the pillows. You're not throwing pillows at people, expecting people to catch them for you. And then when they try and throw them back, you're judging,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Full cycle.
um, yeah, it's a cycle. It is. It is. So just building that emotional intelligence, understanding how your systems work, and balancing that out through your heart. That's really the key there.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, and Anna, thank you so much for being here. For those who want to reach out to you to play and learn more, what's some contact information you have to share?
So I'm very active on my Instagram page, and I am Inanna Rising on Instagram. It's Inanna Rising, and my YouTube channel is Inanna Rising as well. And I have a lot of free content there, a lot of classes I've posted. I try and do a free class each week, at least every other week, having something to do or other with energy work. I also hold online full moon rituals, so
Mm.
NT ceremonies, which is a beautiful way to just connect and gather with other people at the same time and in the same space under that energy of the beautiful moon, to set really lovely intentions for yourself and for your life, and to release things that might need to be released too. I can also be reached via email at goddess@inhonorrising.com. So And can I tell you one little funny story because you were talking about
Sure.
planning?
Yes.
I was being very, 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 very serious all summer long, working so hard, just doing too much grown-up stuff. Also, even taxes. I had to fix my son's social security number that got stolen a few years ago. So I'd been doing that for years, trying to work on it. And I had this final thing to wrap up with it. And I was like, oh, good, it's finally done. So yesterday I called one of my best friends and I said, I wanted to go get myself just something lovely, a new perfume or something I'm very much a perfume person. I make my own perfumes too. But I said, let's just go to the mall. I hadn't been there in forever, and I usually don't enjoy the mall ever. I don't know what got into me, but I said, I just want to go find a new perfume. And so we went together. We have been friends since we were little girls. We would play Barbies together. And anyway, so we were just having the time of our lives. And we started laughing so hard and just saying, don't you feel like a teenager right now? And she's like, yeah, I do. I feel like when we used to go to the mall when we were teenagers. And we were just laughing. And I said, hey, let's go get a hot dog on a stick. You know, the cheese ones, not the hot dogs. That's yucky, but the cheese, which is equally yucky, by the way.
Yeah.
But we went and had one and it was delicious. And we felt like teenagers. And it was just the funniest thing.
Yes.
So, anyway, fast forward a couple hours later, it's like 9 o'clock at night. I have two young sons still at home, two grown kids, and two young, not young, but teenage sons at home. And my friend, the night was coming to a close, and I said, okay, well, we better, I'm going to drop you off at home. And she goes, wait, no, we can't end the night already. It's only 9 o'clock. Let's go do something else. And I was thinking, yeah, let's go do something else. This is too much fun. And all of a sudden it dawned on me. I thought something in the back of my mind went, wait, I'm supposed to be doing something. What do I? And I looked at her, I said, I forgot I have children. I have to go home and make sure that they're getting ready for bed. And it was just, it was so much fun to connect to that playful side. And we laughed so
Mm,
hard that it was enough to where I forgot for a minute that I had kids. So, anyway, yes, it's so
yeah.
important to be playful and to have fun. And I think that totally um, elevates your energy and your mood.
Oh, yes.
When things
Yes.
are too serious, play.
It brings you in the present moment and you really appreciate and just have that openness. And I love that. I just could see you running through the
Fun.
mall and having this hot dog on a stick. And, and
Horrible.
that's something that is, might say it's horrible, but it tasted so good. It was
In
something
the
that you
moment,
needed
oh,
at that moment.
to
It's not that you're eating
connect to
hot
my
dogs every
teenage self.
day,
No, no.
so it was needed and that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And to
Yeah, you're
not judge it.
allowed.
In the moment, we were not judging it. We were just laughing, thinking it was so fun. So I just
Oh,
wanted to
that's so
share that
fun.
little bit since you brought it being playful. I had just such a fun, playful experience yesterday. So I had to share that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again, Inanna, for being here. It was so wonderful to share you with this audience and just getting to know you a little bit more. Yeah, I hope that we can play someday together.
We must. I
We
was just
can.
thinking that you're going to have to let me
Yeah.
know when you're making your rounds over to my neck
Yes,
of the woods. I would love to hang out.
I would definitely do that. And anyone else can come play too. So
Wouldn't that be fun?
everyone is welcome. Well, yeah. Well, thank you, my friends, for tuning in, watching, or listening. And this is again the last of the series for Consciously Clearing Clutter. And I hope that you enjoyed it. Please share it with others. And until next time, be well. Bye.